Hello everyone, today I'll be showing you how to create ribbons based off of images in Vectric Aspire. So stick with me and I'll show you how it's done. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is load the image you're trying to replicate into your workspace. I already have mine loaded here, but to do that you would just go to File, Import, and then import your bitmap, and then just scroll to the folder where your image is at and then load it. So like I said, I have mine already loaded here. First thing you want to do is make sure that it's centered in your workspace here. Easy way I found to do that is you just click on this outermost ruler on the left hand side, drag that to the center. So 6 inches is my center. My document size is 12 inches by 12 inches, with 6 inches being my center. So now that line is there. Now if we look at our badge, just want to make sure that that's as centered as it can be, which looks pretty close. So let's go this way, go to the right a little bit by hitting the right arrow on our keyboard until it's close enough. You want to make sure that it's as centered as possible because we're going to be using the mirror tool a lot, and you want to make sure that it's, once you start on one side, it mirrors to the exact same position on the opposite side. Okay, so now that's centered. Let's remove that by dragging it back off the screen. All right, now that we have our image in, we can adjust the transparency of it to make it easier to see. So if you click on it and then right click and then scroll down to Object Properties, you can adjust this slider to make it more transparent or less transparent. So just get it to where you can barely make out the details, but still see any lines or vectors you're going to draw on top of it. So that looks pretty good right there to me. Okay, so let's start first with this bottom banner because that's pretty simple. You just have 4 lines with 2 of those being curved. So we want to create a new layer, or you can just go off your layer 1 here. I'll just keep that on layer 1. And then we want to come over to create vectors and draw a line. We'll click that and come down and click on the bottom corner there, drag this line up so right about there. And then once that's done, you can hit space on your keyboard to end that path, or just hit close. I'll hit close. Now we're going to select that, and then we're going to scroll over here to mirror selected objects. So that's selected, we're going to mirror it. And then we're going to mirror it horizontally. So you see it puts it over here. Now this image isn't perfectly symmetrical, so it's not going to be perfect. But for what we're doing, we're going to leave that just like that. So we have 2 lines exactly the same across from each other. Perfect. Okay, so now that we have that, let's go over here. Instead of clicking on the draw line, let's draw an arc. So click draw arc. Click on the top of that vector. Come over here, click on the top of that vector, and then bring that down to about close like that, and then click again, and there you have it. That line is there. And then we'll click on this bottom one, scroll over to this right side one, click that bottom one, and then just move the mouse down till you get it about where you want it. And that looks good. Close that, and then let's hide this image and see what we have. Let's have that. Okay, so right now we have our bottom banner, but none of those are connected. There's 2 ways you can do that to connect them. You can click one and then the other, and you have the 2 selected, and then come over here to join and close vectors. Click that, and then it'll join those 2. Something you want to keep in mind is if you try and select all the vectors and then hit this, it'll only join one of the, the paths. It won't join all of them. So I'll show you again. So if I select them all, come back over here to join. If I hit that and then click it again, see, it doesn't join them. So you can keep going and clicking one path and then holding down the shift on your keyboard, select the other path, and then hit join again. Or if you could select them all and then come over here to join, this little button right here, click that, and then you hit join, and then it'll join all of them together. Okay, just like that. Perfect. Okay, now we want to offset that. So let's see how far we want to go. I usually at this size do a 0.05 offset. So we'll go inward, 0.05 offset vector, offset it, And there you have it. Okay. And we'll hide that again just so you see. And there's our bottom banner completed. All right, that one's pretty easy. Let's create a new layer. We'll just leave that layer 2, hide layer 1. So that's the banner we just completed. And then we will select our image again by making that visible. Okay, so for this top banner, it's going to be the same process with just a few more steps involved. So you see is we have a lot more paths, a lot more curves and stuff like that. But again, pretty easy to do, so I'll walk you through the steps for that. First thing I'd like to do is, instead of worrying about all this curves and everything, let's just draw a straight line from where that path would end down to where that path would end, about right there, just like that. Right now, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just getting the base layer completed so that we can adjust that once we have it done. So we'll select that path and let's go mirror that again. So we'll hit mirror selected objects and then we'll mirror horizontal, and you see it puts our path there. And then right now we're going to try the curved path and just see how that works for us. So we'll hit draw arc, click this bottom path, drag over, click the other one, and then bring it up. Okay, so right now with just the curve, you see the edges aren't perfect, doesn't line up just right. So the curve arc isn't going to work for this. So let's make sure that's selected and then come down here and hit delete, or just hit delete on your keyboard. And this time, instead of using the curved path to draw the arc, we're going to draw a line. What we're going to do is click this bottom path there, come about halfway up this curve, click again, and then come to the center. You'll know you're in the center when you see that little dotted line kind of pop on the screen. You might not be able to see it, but just make sure you're centered on your screen, and we'll click there. And then we'll hit space on our keyboard to end that path. Okay. Now to make this curve, what we're going to do is select that path, come over to node editing mode, click that, and now you can see your nodes and your path there. Click this middle one, and once that's selected, you'll see it's red. We'll hit S on our keyboard. Make sure to hover over it, hit S on the keyboard, and then it'll soften that edge. And now we can adjust these right here to make it line up. So for this top path here, this first node, you want to make sure that that line is straight, because when you mirror it, you want it to look like one solid arc and not, like a corner or a hard edge. So just make sure that that line is extended straight out. And then on this one, let's just play with this until we start to curve that around the way we want it. That's good. Let's move that one up a little bit. And yeah, okay, good. Okay, so that looks good. Let's hide this image, see what we have here. And then here you kind of play with a little bit more just to kind of make sure that curve looks natural. Good. Come back over here to select mode, select that path, and then let's mirror that. Hit mirror selected objects, horizontal, and there you go. You have a perfect curve here, touching this other path. Okay, now we want to join these two. So select that, hold down shift on the keyboard, select that. And then we'll come over here. Since it's just the two paths selected, we'll hit join vectors, hit that. Now it's one path. Okay. So now that we have our bottom one done, we can draw the top one just like we did here. But I like to offset this so that we keep the spaces between the banner perfectly symmetrical and everything looking the same. So we'll select that and let's come over here to our offset. And then right now let's just try it offset of 0.2, and we'll keep it inward, and let's just see what it does. Offset that. Okay, so it goes inward. We don't want that, so we'll select that, delete, come back and select that path, and now let's change outward. Okay, so now we're moving inward, but still have a ways to go. So let's delete that. Select this line, and let's go 0.7. Okay, get in there, still a little off, so delete that. Select the bottom one, let's go 0.8. Okay, good. So it's pretty close here on the outside edges, a little off here on the top. But again, like I said, not all these images of badges are going to be perfect, and there's going to be things that are going to be off. Just me personally, I like everything, the bottom and the top paths that mirror each other, so that the text inside maintains the same space between the top and bottom all the way around. So we're going to leave that like that. It looks close enough to me. But now we see we have this gap here, and that's fine. We'll just come back over, select draw our line, click the bottom of that and drag down. And we want this to be straight on. Let's see what that looked like here. Let's just click that, select that bottom path, and hit left arrow on the keyboard till that path just looks like it continues on. Okay. And let's hide our image, see what we look like. Okay, very good. And let's mirror that horizontal. There we go. Now we'll select that path and that path. And then let's select this path, and then we'll click on join and join that. Good. Okay, now for these, let's click that bottom path, select our node editing mode, and then just drag that path up there. Drag that one up there. Now we're going to cut where these two intersect. So just hit the interactive trim or the scissors. Click that, and you'll see the scissors icon here, and then just hover over it till the scissors open up. Click it, and come back over here. Click that, and click that. Close it, and there we go. It has joined those two paths, and now we just need to join it with this bottom one. So that outer path is selected. And let's hold down Shift on the keyboard, select that inner path, come back over to join. There we have one path. Okay. Good, so that's the top banner of that. Now, let's work out this little curve right here. Let's come back over here to draw a line. And then we'll click right about there in the path. And just come out here and just kind of follow that outer path there. And then we'll come about right there, click there, close. And then we're going to select node editing mode, select that path, and then hover over this node, hit S on your keyboard to soften it. Come over to this one, S on your keyboard to soften it. Okay, now we want to play with these little lines until we get them looking right. So we just want to make sure that that path looks like it follows this one all the way around. So you don't want like a hard edge like this, because eventually we're going to be deleting this path. We don't want this hard corner there. So let's just curve it a little bit more. Make it look like it just follows that around. Good. And just kind of move it till you want it. And then this one, let's come up here, move that, and make sure it looks like it just continues on up through there. Okay. And let's hide our image layer, see what that looks like. Okay, pretty good. Let's select our selection mode, make sure that's selected, select that path, and then let's mirror that horizontally, and as you can see, it has placed it over here. Close that. Let's pick our scissors again, and then now we're going to hover over this straight line, and it will delete everything between these two nodes. There we go. Deleted that. Deleted that. Good. Okay. And let's make sure, click on node editing mode, make sure everything still looks good. Good. Okay. Okay. Now that we have that done, I'm going to right click on the mouse. I'm going to come down over to select open vectors. Make sure we don't have any open vectors. That's good. Okay. And then let's select that and let's offset that inward 0.05 like we did the bottom one. And that went outward. And let's see what that's going to look like if we go outward. Yeah. Okay. So let's go back inward. So undo that. Control Z on the keyboard. Select inward. 0.05. There we go. Okay, so that went inward. Now we're going to work on this outer part of the banner here. First thing you want to do is we will start with this here. Start with this, and what we're going to do is just follow it around and just trace this outline of this ribbon. Okay, so let's select our draw line tool again, and we'll come about right here, and then let's just follow that path around again. Like that, like that. And then I want to leave that just like that, and we're going to use the curve path to create these other three. So we'll just close that, and then there's this path here. Make sure that's selected. Select on node editing mode, and now hover over each of your nodes, hit S on the keyboard to soften it, and now we'll just start aligning it to the image. Okay, just like that. Looks good. Okay. All right, and let's see what that looks like. Good. Okay, now we're going to come over here and draw our arc. Click the end of that path, and we'll come about right here. Let's go inward just a little bit like that. Click on the end of that. Come up here, and let's pull out just a little bit. Good. And then click that one. Click there, and then let's line it to that. Great. Okay. Now select that path. Hold down Shift on your keyboard. Select that path. Keep holding down Shift. Select that path. And select that path. Now all four of those are selected. We'll hit join, join. There you go, one path. Now we want to offset that inward 0.05 as well. So right now it's inward 0.05. There we go. Okay. Now before we mirror that over to this side, let's finish this little wrap right here. Again, we'll select on our create line tool, and then let's click that right there, and let's come up a little bit there and there. Okay. And then now let's select that, select our node editing modes, hover over this node, hit S on your keyboard, and start softening. Okay. Now let's play with this until we make it look like it just naturally wraps around. So we just want to come up here like this. Okay, just want to make sure that line looks like it follows this around with no hard edges. And then this one, let's come out just a little bit like this. Again, to make sure it wraps around. And that looks pretty good. Let's see what our image is looking like. If I select on the selection tool again, select our image. Okay, so we're a little off. Let's make that, let's adjust this transparency so we can see it a little better. Good, okay. Node editing mode again, select our path, and now this time let's just trace this and adjust this as needed to make it match as close as we can. All right, okay. And that one. Okay, good. All right, that looks good. So let's select that. Right now we're still in node editing mode, so let's just click our selection tool here. And it's still highlighted, and now let's offset that 0.05. Okay, that went the wrong way, so let's undo that. Control Z on keyboard, and let's change this to outward. Good, okay, so now you can see that follows that around. But this path isn't touching this one, so we need to make sure that we close these two. So we're back in node editing mode. Hover over this node and just drag it in till it crosses that line. Okay, just like that. And again, before we mirror it, let's just do one more thing here. Let's select our trim scissors again, and then just trim these overlapping paths by clicking there, and there you go. Okay, and now before we do that to this center banner, because we want to mirror this, we're just going to select all that, select our mirror selected objects tool again, mirror horizontal. There you go. Let's put it over here. And then let's get our trim tool and trim all of these overlapping vectors. Oh, nice. Control. Sometimes you'll find if you click someone on a line you didn't mean to, it'll delete that. No worries. Just hit Control Z on your keyboard to undo it. And just scroll in till you're hovering over the line you want to delete. Good. Just like that. Same here. Okay, there you go. All right, so there is that top ribbon. See how close that matches up to that. Good. And then there's our bottom band ribbon, just like that. And there you have it, how to create ribbons within Aspire. Hopefully you found this tutorial helpful. If so, please share with someone you think could use this information, and like and subscribe for more how-tos and tutorials. Comment below with any questions or suggestions you may have. Take care, and I'll see you next time.